guys, welcome back to another AT Customs video, and today I would like to show you my build on the Snow Sazabi. And of course, this is not really an original idea from me, but I saw it online on Google search or Pinterest. If you just type in Snow Sazabi, and you can actually see the original builder which actually did this color scheme. And as for me, I'm not really a fan of Zeon suit, but I fall in love with the Sazabi mainly because of the Snow Sazabi. Somehow I do not know what that brought me over. I think it's about the color scheme. It gives me slightly of the Armored Core vibe, which I feel that is pretty badass. And as you can see, Snow Sazabi means the main parts of the armor is actually white color and some gray and black color scheme, and the inner frame is actually gold, which you can see my previous video which I did, the Snow Sinanju, which is actually followed this color scheme but without the gold inner frame. As for this, actually I tried my best to do the gold color, but for some reason my gold is not really shiny enough. For some reason, I have no idea why, but if you were to shine more, I think it will look way better. And then the gold the red accents here is actually I did it on myself, because the original one over here is actually gray color hoses, which with the circle thingy. But I would prefer to have just this because I want to see some of the old inner frame over here. You can see some gold poking out. And actually what I did to this kit is adding some pla plates. The pla plate is actually very little. It's actually over here, as you can see, on the chest. Some skirt armor here, and here actually I scribed some details, and here too. So overall, as you can see, externally is actually very minor. And if you really look closely, actually I did extend slightly the waist, because Sazabi is actually a very big and fat mobile suit, which looks badass by itself, but I find that the waist should be slightly longer, so I add maybe around 1 to 2 millimeters taller at the waist section, which you can see why there is a slight gap here on this middle cannon thingy. Okay, and the next thing that I did to this kit is actually the head. I have to move the camera up slightly just to show you. It's actually pretty minor too, but as you can see over here, the head actually I extended it slightly towards the back on the white part here. This is actually to cover up some lines which is at the back, to give it more like an aerodynamic look to it, which I find it pretty badass in my personal opinion. And of course, this being a Sazabi, we should actually look at its back. Okay, so Sazabi looks really badass from the back. And of course, if you can see here, it's actually quite back heavy, so I have to lean it forward. Not really, it's actually dragged towards the back. As you can see, the back looks really badass. As you can see, the candy red poking out from the middle part here, some gold which is inside of this thruster area, silver thrusters, and some gold poking up here, and also the what's it called, fuel tanks here. I've actually purposely left this part not really attached in all the way, just to have more details to it, because it just looks like just one huge cylinder. Of course, you can actually get some pla plate and cut something long here and just paste it up here to make it more details. But back then my pla plate skill is actually still very poor, so I just do with some minor details such as this. Add one pla plate here, some pla plate down here which is on the black, which actually is hard to see, but I still feel that it turns out pretty good. And one regret that I have with this kit is that I didn't buy enough black decals to put it on these white parts. That is why you see most of the white parts there are no decals on it, only the black parts which you can see all those lines, because the original Sazabi, it comes with white decals, which looks good on the red, but on the white you can't really see it. So there is one downside to it. And lastly, I will go through the accessories, which is for the Sazabi. And its most famous part of Sazabi is actually the huge shield. This shield is actually very beautiful. As you can see the color separation here, there's white, black, gray and white again, and actually over here is supposed to be two different tones of black. This is actually what I call it, the dark gray. I can't remember what is it called. I think it's called neutral gray, and this is actually a matte black. So but the color seems pretty similar, which is slightly disappointing, but overall it still looks very good. And the underside of this shield is also very pretty. If it's for me, my current skill, I will actually mask this part off and paint this part a separate color, but most of the time most people don't really see under the shield, so I think this is good enough. And of course this I don't know what is this called, the grenades or rockets, I just painted candy red, which actually looks very nice under the shield. Okay, but it's very hard to hold this because this is very heavy. So usually I just pose it by just holding the shield down to the ground like this. I think that's about it with this kit, because this kit is very hard to pose because it's very bulky, and I really scared that I scratch the paint off any parts, so I don't really dare to actually move it around that much. And of course the next thing is this big gun. Of course every mobile suit should have a big gun. And how big is this gun? Basically it's as tall as the Sazabi with fully extended back here. This gun basically I did copy the original builder of the Snow Sazabi, because it looks very badass, and it does looks realistic with just gunmetal, gray, silver and some red trims here and there, and yellow decals. Okay, so all these decals actually yellow color. I mean, this yellow color here is actually decals, not paint, because it looks very good. And this blue part here is actually my first attempt on airbrushing using the nail polish, which it doesn't really turn out as bright as I wish, but it does looks good. And then this another candy red for the ammo of the bazooka, and some candy red in here which doesn't look that nice, but it's good enough for me. And these chrome parts here are also painted with rattle cans. All the chrome that you see here are all rattle cans, which is pretty nice, but of course it wouldn't be able to compare with those professional hobby paints. And of course over here the back red part here is actually hand painted by me using a brush, which you can see there is a rough surface to it. But actually I did regret this. I should have just masked it off and airbrush it on, but back then when I was building this kit I do not have an airbrush, or I just had an airbrush but I do not have paint. So these gold in here are actually I airbrush on, but other than that everything is using spray paint. So if you were to ask me, spray paint, if you are using a spray can, would you be able to make a very nice model kit? My answer to you is yes, sure, because this kit is actually 90% spray can. If you can get a chrome gold color spray can, I think you can make the gold inside looks way better than this. So spray can is doable actually, but if you would ask me, using an airbrush is actually way better. Actually you save more money on the airbrush than buying the paint for a, from a spray can, because using a spray can there is a lot of wastages. If you want, I can cover this on my next video. How do you actually save money by using an airbrush? And if you were to ask me, should you get an airbrush? Well, if you are serious in this hobby, you want to go far in this hobby, then buying an airbrush is perfect, because you can save your money and have a very nice and beautiful result. So this is actually how I pose it in my display shelf, by just holding the shield on the left arm like this, and the right arm holding the very huge rifle. And why I actually choose this pose is because both of the rifle and also the shield is actually very heavy for him to actually hold it up. So I just let them both rest down. As you can see, the gun here, I just rest it down over here. As you can see, yeah, it's really heavy. So I think this is the best I can do for the poses, because there is also no place that I can attach the rifle to. The backpack is actually full. So I think this is actually how I should display it. Or you guys have any better ideas, you can actually let me know, and I maybe can try them out. Okay, because I've been using this pose for maybe over a year already. So I am thinking of a way how do I change the pose to get some new look to it. Okay, that's all for today. Thank you for watching, and see you again next time. Goodbye.